Let's talk Duke at Florida State. A Riley Leonardless Duke traveling to Tallahassee against a Florida State team that I think people have mellowed, mellowed about. I mean, they dominated Syracuse the other week. I mean, they're still a really good football team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But Mike Elko is kind of the best there is right now in shutting down the offenses. He just is. He just is right now. So at this point, anything can happen. This is a very big line. I don't know what this line is if Riley Leonard is playing, but this is a very large line. Do you have any? I don't know. I want to hear what you got to think. I want to hear what you got on this game.
I'll give you my pick before I give you my explanation. Real quick, I'm going to go Duke to cover and Florida State to win. Right? I think 14 is too high. And the reason why is because, like you mentioned, Mike Elko is fantastic. I trust him and the way he's going to set up his defense and matchups, even though how talented Florida State is, right? I think they're going to keep it close no matter what, even without Riley Leonard. I do think their quarterback, right, is Henry Bellin. I mean, not a great throw of the football, right? They still moved the ball well. They had big plays.
Riley Leonard wasn't throwing the ball that well before he went down.
That's a good point. He was not, but I do think like the offense changes. Obviously, like Riley Leonard's special talent. We all know that. I mean, Henry Bellin had 4 completions against North Carolina State, which has a solid defense in their own right for sure. But he's gonna have to do more in this game, and I think they might open it up for him a little bit more. But the reason why they won right by 3 touchdowns last game was because they explosive plays. And while I do think that's important to be able to have in your offense, to rely on that in big games is going to be hard, right? Which is why I'm going to take Florida State to win. But I do think Duke is going to ultimately cover.
Yeah, I'll ride with you there. The one thing I am nervous about, though, right, and these Duke corners have played very, very well up until this point, but they have not faced a receiving core like the one that they're going up against this Saturday. And believe me, I have seen Miles Jones. I remember watching him play John Mechie in 2020. That's how old Miles Jones is. It was not pretty. And Keon Coleman is upgraded John Mechie. I mean,
he's a freak. He's a freak.
That does make me nervous. I do think like Jordan Travis has been playing fine football. He hasn't really needed to like do a ton, but yeah, I'm literally with you just because Mike Elko. Like, I really wanted to take Florida State in the 14, especially at home. But Duke has proven, man, that they can get after it. They can get after it. And they can hold teams like even if they put up 3 points, right? Or if they put up like 10 points, 24-10 is not out of the picture, I do think Florida State.
That's just it.
I do think, though, this is a different level of talent that Duke has played on the offensive side of the ball than they're used to. But I still think, I still think, aside from that, like, run at the end there for Audric Estime, they shut down the run game for Notre Dame, right? Clemson, they were able to run the ball, move the ball a little bit, but they get it when it counts, man. So they're going to get up for this game for sure. They're not afraid. They are not afraid of Florida State at all. So, yeah, give me Florida State to win, Duke to cover.
I do think it's worth noting that, last week I think we all were really impressed with how Florida State beat Syracuse. But other than that, the last time we were really impressed with Florida State was after LSU. And even now, that win looks a lot different than it did in the moment, for sure. While Duke has been playing good football, I think for maybe the whole season, right? Outside of maybe the first half against Notre Dame. I think it's very unfortunate that Riley Leonard is not going to be able to play in this game. It would be awesome to go see him duel, and I think they would have a real fighter chance. Obviously, the line would be a lot lower, like you mentioned. I don't know how much lower exactly, but it would definitely be a lot different. To me though, while I'm picking Duke to cover, I do think if you're Florida State, you would love to see them go and make a statement at home against a ranked Duke team that, while yes, they're without their starting quarterback, they're still a really good football team. We're very well coached. This would be a very impressive win. And to show up and play really good football, 4 quarters of dominance would be really awesome, because the back half of your schedule I mean, Miami, who we think is still a good team. That's really it. You're circling, and then you got to go to Florida. That's not really a conference game, so that's not really going to depict your ACC championship implications, right? So like, this is to me, this is like their last big test, in the ACC, and I think it'd be really nice to see them. So, but also like if they do struggle on the same time and it's a one possession game in the fourth quarter, and maybe they get a late touchdown, to go up 11 points or whatever it is, like I it wouldn't worry me. It really wouldn't. Like Duke does that. Duke's going to do that to your team. Bill Belichick, we talked about him forever in the NFL, where like he takes away your number one receiver and he makes you do something different. Like Mike Elko has that same effect. Not necessarily the same strategy that Bill Belichick does, but in terms of like, oh, like if you're not playing your best football offensively, you just chalk it up to Mike Elko is fantastic at his job, and that's the reason why that's happening. You know.
I agree. I agree. It's gonna be a good game. I think. I do think. I kind of feel like Florida State still might dominate this. Like it might look like domination, but I think Duke finds a way to cover, make it close.
Can I ask you a question here? We talk about this a lot, especially with Mike Elko involved. Who do you think is a better coaching staff or coach in general? Like, who do you trust more this week of preparation and during the game of game management? Mike Elko or
Mike
Norvell?
Norvell. Gosh, that's a really good question. I don't know if I have a
It's a,
straight answer for that. I
and that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
I think it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. They're both coaches, but they're very different. They're very, very different. But
Different.
I do like Duke's staff a lot though. Like Kevin
Yeah.
Johns, Tyler Santucci. I love that staff. So at Florida State got a good staff too. But I don't know. I'll give the slight lean to Duke, which is wild to say that. It's crazy because Mike Norvell's just done an absolute unbelievable job for Florida State. But this
Yeah.
is a credit to, I mean, Mike Elko, Kevin Johns, Tyler Santucci. They all might be head coaches in the next couple of years. So somewhere we don't know.
I do think it was. I wanted to ask that question because I want to put that out there. I do think you're right. It is apples to oranges. I think the way you run a program at Duke, it's a lot different than you run a program at Florida State. Like if Mike Norvell tried to run his program like he does at Florida State at Duke, a lot different results than if Mike Elko runs his program like he does at Duke at Florida State. Totally different. But yeah, credit to both these coaching staffs for getting these two ACC contenders where they are right now.